countries interested from the original format.
Okay, and yeah, it seems to me like there's a bit of a mismatch between what's not all, but let's say if we exclude Serbia and Hungary, Central and Eastern European countries would like to hear and see from China and what they're actually receiving. And you touched a bit on the Chinese state media in the region. So this is, I think, one of the measures where, if we would say that China supports Russia, it's doing it the most. It's in terms of state media. So could you tell us more about how Chinese state media is reacting not only in Central Eastern Europe, but also Europe and maybe in general? What kind of talking points are they picking up? And
yeah, this is the subject which I love, so I will try to be brief. Bear with me, or just give me some sign that's, you know, it's too much already. Well, you know, after the war started, after the invasion started, the EU reacted by blocking some of the Russian state media, such as RT, formerly Russia Today, Sputnik, but it didn't block or even highlighted any of the Chinese state media. So what we do have seen, because we basically monitor propaganda and disinformation in a number of Central and Eastern European countries coming from China, what we did see was basically just a recycling of Russian talking points. At the very beginning, these were basically just copy-paste, I would say. And that reached the local population, because some of those talking points, of course, were done in the local languages, with a lot of cartoons, with you know, NATO depicted as Voldemorts coming to get China and Russia and so on. So it was very vivid and quite very active, I would say, at the beginning. And the same report, my colleagues who are looking at domestic consumption and basically what China was telling to its domestic population. Then it got a little bit more diversified, I would say, that with the war dragging, China basically stepped down a little bit and started to allowing also some, let's say, more nuanced reporting on the war, or at least trying to provide objective, like just very factual source of information. But in the same time, when it comes to Central and Eastern European countries, we do see for a long period of time, even before the war, a synergizing between Russian and Chinese, and I would call it influence operations in Central and Eastern Europe, using local media, either the mainstream media or what we call fringe media or alternative media outlets. And it's also started to reach to the extreme poles in political spectrum. So not only traditionally far left, by far left, I mean communist parties in the region, but also far right. And there is quite an interesting synergy of narratives as well, those anti-West narratives. What is also interesting in this respect is that Russia traditionally focused on undermining narratives, basically telling to the local population, do not trust your government. These are corrupt people, not trustworthy, they are lying. A lot of conspiracy theories were also linked to that. And we haven't seen China doing it, but we do see China actually now reaching out to the very similar recipient groups in the manner which I wouldn't say is the same, but definitely there is an obvious inspiration on how the narratives are created to generate some kind of emotional response, to be more propagated within the social media system and so on. So this is something I would say worrisome, what we do see, and we also detected in Central and Eastern European countries, and I'm quite sure that this is happening also in Western European countries. However, it's probably still less researched than what traditionally Central and Eastern European countries were doing, because they tend to focus on Russian propaganda.
Yeah, and